Trump shutdown begins, and a little bit about Operation Don't Be Fat. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe. Why is this shutdown happening? In a nutshell, Republicans want the Affordable Health Care ACA provisions to expire and don't want to make concessions about Medicaid cuts that they had made in the big, beautiful bill. They want Medicare slashed. They want the protections of the Obamacare provisions to stop. And Democrats are fighting for basic health care for millions of Americans. Republicans, on the other hand, are shutting down the government to deprive millions of Americans of basic affordable health care, and then blaming the Democrats. They're threatening layoffs that will be made permanent, but their layoff threats are they've lost their oomph because Donald Trump has laid off and then had to rehire so many people because of how inefficiently his regime is trying to rule. They've been blaming Democrats when Republicans control the Senate, the House, and the White House, saying illegal aliens will get the medical benefits Democrats want when that's not true at all. And I'll read you what Representative Brendan Boyle said about that. This is a Trump shutdown because MAGA doesn't know how to negotiate. They don't know how to compromise for the benefit of the American people. And that shows that they don't know how to govern. The last shutdown happened under Trump 6 years ago, and now we have his second shutdown again. Except this time, our country is far more damaged than it was the first time around. Thanks to Donald Trump, the economy is unstable. Jobs and wages are stagnant. Inflation keeps going up. Donald Trump has already made sure of that. Now, thousands of federal workers will be fired, and that'll go into effect, and that's from the previous freezes and firings, along with those who will be laid off because of this shutdown. And the impact of it is going to be profound and all across the country because the federal government is the biggest employer throughout the country. If you want to help in this situation, I would recommend the most acute place you could probably help is to fund food kitchens and food pantries. Volunteer in food kitchens and food pantries. Raise money for these causes because hunger will be a problem throughout the country because the food assistance programs will also be impacted. And the food hunger problem will probably continue past the shutdown because of the tariffs, because of the tax on farm workers, and because of general Republican MAGA incompetence. On this shutdown, Brian Tyler Cohen says Trump is a billionaire who is trying to take your health care away by pitting you against brown people who are not even eligible for the ACA subsidies. He wants vulnerable white people fighting vulnerable brown people so that no one pays attention to the billionaire trying to consolidate power. Lawrence O'Donnell says, one of the examples you've put out is in Speaker Mike Johnson's Louisiana district, a 60-year-old couple earning $82,000 a year. Their health care premiums will rise almost $20,000 by 300% because of what their congressman is doing. And Representative Brendan Boyle of Pennsylvania replies to that by saying, ironically, Mike Johnson has one of the largest Medicaid populations in any district nationwide. But I do want to stress that, yes, this is dramatic and it will be awful if you're on Medicaid. will be awful if you're on the Obamacare exchanges, will be awful if you're on Medicare. But it is actually the healthcare of all of us, regardless of how you obtain it. Because even for those who might not be in one of those programs I just mentioned, premiums are set to rise, and by a dramatic amount, literally beginning in a matter of hours. So that is what is at stake. That is why we have a sense of urgency. That is why we cannot wait 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, which is what the Trump administration has said it wants to do by promising that they're going to work on these Democratic concessions after they've passed the continued resolution, which they're not going to do. So, yeah, this is an imminent shutdown that will impact countless lives, and I won't be surprised if there are protests that happen even before the October 18th No Kings protest. So as I said, for this particular part of the shutdown, our part of what we can do is keep the voices alive of what is happening around in our communities, and to keep engaging with people, and also to be able to inform people about what is happening. And if there's any material support that you can provide it to your local food pantries and food kitchens where people are going to go, because hunger and affordability is going to be a problem. Now, I want to briefly talk to you about Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump's military ethos, lecture, because of which Hegseth ordered every general that is leading every operation around the world to fly out from wherever they are around the world, halfway across the world, to listen to Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump. And what they had to say was, don't be fat, Pete Hegseth said. You can break the rules. You can be a bully. Said that we are about war, not defense. Talked about the beardos and the fatsos. Don't be fat. Talk about how the military is going to now have one set of regulations. There's going to be no concessions for women. If you're allowed, if you can make it through the physical training that everybody goes through, meaning men go through, then women are allowed. There's anti-trans talk, anti-woke talk. And the most astounding thing was not one of those generals clapped. Not for Hegseth, not for Donald Trump. And that is a huge, huge show by indication of what military top brass think about what is happening. It was embarrassing for me. It was embarrassing for the country. And what I think is a silver lining here, despite the harm that this will have to military posture and readiness, is that all of the generals of our military now know for certain that their civilian leadership chain and their commander-in-chief Donald Trump is a threat to the country and constitution to which they have taken their oaths. And then Donald Trump talks about war from within and targeting American cities in his speech, putting every military general on notice that, hey, we are going to war with ourselves. And so I would hope that these military chiefs and generals will send down their chains of command notices that people who are under their command must not carry out illegal orders. They need to be able to rely on their JAGs, Judge Advocate General, which is military lawyers, which Donald Trump fired a lot of, to be able to figure out what is legal and what is illegal. Because what just happened with this hot mess of a speech, lecture, pep talk, don't be fat rally, that fat shaming rally, whatever it was, the military now is aware of it. And I think it was very needed in sort of looking at it from the silver lining perspective for our military heads to know for certain that their civilian chain of command is, at best compromised, at worst unable and unfit to perform the duties of the executive branch. With that said, I stand in solidarity with everybody who is going to feel the pain. I've been warning about what's happening for years now. I understand that America is going through a really tough time, and it's going to get tougher. Hold on to each other, remain safe, stay alert, record suspicious activities. I would say do your Christmas shopping and non-perishable shopping whenever you see a good deal, as opposed to reserving it for the time of holiday shopping. And watch out for one another as we go through this dark time, because we will have to make it through. There's only one way to go, is forward. We are going to move forward. No matter how ideologically backward Donald Trump's regime wants to take us, we are going to move forward. We are going to hold up the truth. We are going to make sure that the people understand that this is Donald Trump's war on America from within. Whether it is the shutdown or the police state or demeaning our military, it is an attack on our republic. And we must not give up or give in, and we must stand up together and say, no, we are not okay with tyranny, we're not okay with fascists, and we're not okay with kings. Thank you so much, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.